Conservative MEP Ian Duncan discusses his plans for the next parliamentary term and his thoughts as to what the referendum may bring for Scotland and the UK. Mr Duncan, so a start of a new term at Parliament, everything's new, everything's fresh. However, the referendum is looming. What are your thoughts on this? I understand that you're not entirely happy with the idea of Scotland leaving the UK at all.
I think it would be bad for Scotland, bad for Scots. I think we would be the poorer. I think the UK would be the poorer if we ended up going it alone. We have the best of both worlds right now. We have clout in Europe and we can make a difference out here. I see it day in and day out. I think we are better together.
You're a Conservative MEP. Obviously, talk at present is concerning whether the UK itself should leave the EU. Some of your fellow MEPs are very, very much against that, whereas from your Prime Minister, it seems that he wants to be taking a fairly sort of central stance on it, a non-committal stance. What's your stance?
First thing is we're offering the people the choice and the chance to have their say. That's the important thing, the only party that's really offering that. Now, in reality, the Prime Minister has said very clearly he believes we can achieve change here in Europe. Now, if he were just saying that and believing that nobody else would join in, I think we'd be in trouble. But the reality is now changes in the air. People now believe we have to do it differently. Even Juncker himself is beginning to recognise the Commission needs a serious shake-up. We need to do things differently. We can't allow Europe to stagnate and we can't let down the people of Europe. So I think our Prime Minister is in the vanguard of change, and that's a good thing, full stop.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that sounds still a little bit vague to me. When you say the vanguard of change, what exactly do you mean? I mean, in which areas do you feel that David Cameron is pushing for change? I think EU Reporter needs a bit more information than that. Absolutely
fine to say that. Far too often, it's the slowness that affects us. Now, we're witnessing this in an example here with the Scottish fishing industry. There's a ban now from Russia which affects Scottish fishermen. Now, you'd expect when that happened there would be action. Something would be going on. Well, months passed and nothing was done. We need to have action right away. We can't allow industries to struggle while the EU tries to work out what it might do or could do. It's got to take action and do it right away. So the first thing is action and action now. The second thing is we've got to make sure that we are getting the best deal out of being in the EU. And right now, I think we've got far too much bureaucracy and far too little return. The number of times I've heard people talking about growth and jobs, growth and jobs, growth and jobs, and yet there's precious little growth and very few jobs. So we've got to stop saying things as if that makes them so and work out how to actually deliver these sorts of things. And I think that's one of the greatest handicaps we face right now. The rhetoric and the reality are far too far apart.
The Conservative Party is perhaps treading a fine line concerning Euroscepticism. It's renowned in certain areas for being a slightly Eurosceptic party, but you're up against UKIP, who are clearly making much mileage on Euroscepticism. What do you think about the rise of Euroscepticism, Mr Duncan?
I think we're seeing it across Europe. I think there's a very simple reason for that. I touched upon it a moment ago. Europe itself was not ready and did not deal well with the various financial crises. The Eurozone itself is still struggling to cope with the realities. Poverty has been created by intransigence. That's a bad thing. It's hardly surprising that not just in the UK, but in Italy, in Greece, in Spain, and all across Europe, you're finding skeptics now. People looking toward Europe and saying you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. This is not just a British situation. This is pan-European. And until the EU recognises the problem and begins to address it, you're going to find those parties will grow because they have a simple answer. It will all be better once we're on the outside. Simple to sell, the reality is quite different.
We'll come back to the referendum to conclude. If you were a betting man, which way will it go?
The referendum in Scotland right now, I believe Scots are canny and sensible. I do believe they will support the Union. But the good thing about the debate that's going on is there will be change in Scotland too. The parties themselves recognise there needs to be a new deal between London and Edinburgh, and I believe that deal will be good for both countries. That's an important thing. We need to make sure that we put the case as strongly, as positively and as soundly as we can to make sure that every Scot is fully informed and able then to make that right decision. I believe they will, and I believe they will vote to stay together as part of the Union.